The current president has gotten bolder about criticizing the Trumpist influence in the Republican Party and is now predicting its demise, we think. Ahead of tonight's rally in Maryland, Biden told reporters what we're seeing now is the beginning or the death knell of an extreme MAGA philosophy. It is not just Trump, it's the entire philosophy. It's like semi-fascism. It is a wild state of affairs here among our two political parties, especially given where we were just a few months ago when Republicans looked poised to sweep both houses of Congress. With just 75 days left to go until the midterms, can the Biden administration keep up the momentum? And how do they plan to deal with an erratic former president whose scandals keep stealing headlines? I know just the person to ask. Joining us now is Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff for the Biden administration, a man who has been working very hard. Mr. Ron Klain, thank you for being here.
Alex, thank you so much for having me. Good luck on the new show. Great to be a guest.
Well, good luck to us both here on the same show. Ron, let me just start with the words of the president hours ago about semi-fascism. Is it the president's belief that fascism lies at the root of the current Republican Party?
Look, I think you heard the president tonight explain in his own words the difference between what he and the Democrats are fighting for and what the MAGA Republicans are fighting for. He and the Democrats are fighting for standing up to special interests, saving our democracy, bringing down costs, protecting a woman's right to choose, getting guns off our streets. And Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are fighting to reverse all those things. They're fighting they oppose the Inflation Reduction Act. Every single Republican in the House and Senate. They stand. Rick Scott, the head of their campaign committee, has talked about getting rid of Social Security and Medicare, putting it on the chopping block every 5 years. And the list goes on and on and on. You heard the president detail it tonight in his speech in Rockville. So the contrast, the gap between what Joe Biden and the Democrats are fighting for, what Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are fighting for, that gap just couldn't be wider.
Well, Ron, he's using the word fascism to describe the Republican Party. I guess my question is, does he see a meaningful difference between MAGA Republicans and Republicans, or is that all one and the same?
No, he made that very clear in his remarks tonight. There are mainstream Republicans, referred to Governor Hogan in Maryland, where he was speaking this night as a mainstream Republican, as a Republican, a more traditional kind of Republican. But what we are clearly seeing on the campaign trail are MAGA Republicans engaging in the big lie, refusing to accept the outcome of elections, threatening to overturn the will of the voters in subsequent elections. That's what the president's referring to. That's the threat to our democracy. I thought the president was quite clear and quite eloquent about it tonight.
You mentioned Larry Hogan, and I think it's worth mentioning that the guy that's running for the governorship in Maryland is Dan Cox, very much a MAGA Republican. The president said it's either the beginning or the death knell of this MAGA Republican fascism. Which is it? Those are two very different roads. One would think divergent. The start of this or the end of this? Which one is it in the White House's opinion?
Look, I think, again, the president was quite clear about this tonight. Voters have to see the clear difference between the two political parties. They have to see the American people have to see where the Democrats stand, fighting for things like, making education more affordable, fighting to protect Social Security and Medicare, fighting to bring down the costs of everyday goods, lower the cost of prescription drugs, standing up to the special interests, making corporations pay their fair share in taxes, and defending a woman's right to choose versus where the MAGA Republicans are, which includes, trying to push a nationwide ban on abortion in all cases, including rape and incest. That difference, just as I said before, it just couldn't be a wider difference.